Okay, can you hear me at all? You to help us. I want you to help me paint a picture to them about what we are putting in place regarding Nigeria, and what are some of the projects and what are some of the work that we are already doing. Your team and the team you've put together, and what are the kind of thing that I'm telling them that we are going to see a new Nigeria in our lifetime, and that Nigeria is going to be transformed. And this is not just about religion, but we're talking about economic transformation, social transformation, and national development as a whole. And so I was telling them about the team, about your team that, that you've been working for over a year now to just make Nigeria work, and that about your commitment to our country and to the continent of Africa as a whole. So, Brother John, please, here you come. You have the word.
I will. You interrupt at any time you wish, Pastor.
Okay.
But I'll describe to you what we have developed as a vision and a plan. And of course, it is all subject to your final agreement once we meet and go over it in detail and in person.
Yes, sir.
But we do see Pastor's summary of the vision as very accurate. That is, we are going to see Nigeria transformed in our lifetimes.
Amen.
And we are going to see the kingdom of God in every one of those 750
local governments
being literally and figuratively what our vision will unfold in the following way if our team in Nigeria agrees with it.
Yes.
We will deploy teams of 2 people each in each of the 7 districts. And they will have the job to take the gospel of Jesus Christ to the people in that district. And it will take them 5 years on the average for each team to reach every person in the district. They will start with the leaders. And once they've shared the gospel, they will turn around and say, we are not here just to talk to you. We are here to help you. And we would like to know how best we can help you, especially in light of what we regard as 5 very important priorities for each and every person in Nigeria. Of course, the first one is to know who Jesus Christ is, and it is through him that this transformation effort is taking place.
Yes.
Whether they agree with us or not is immaterial. Whether they live in Port Harcourt or in the northern provinces, that is of no interest. We will still take the gospel to every leader and every person in the course of this 5-year period. There is a second priority then. We will say we want to help you address or to deal with the most important crises that exist within your area. Are there people who don't have clean water? Are there people who don't have adequate housing or clothing or food to eat, or who need a job, or who are recovering from a disaster or terror wars or a conflict of any kind on the civil basis? Or are there people who are displaced and have humanitarian emergencies that must be addressed? If there are, we want to make that our first priority for being of assistance to you. The second priority is that we want to deal with what we call chronic deficits. That is civil conflict, displaced people, corruption, addiction, and other problems. And in order to do so, we not only have monetary assets that we will bring to bear to either build housing or provide food or the other things, but we will also offer training. Everyone wants to do a project to help the people of Nigeria, and that is the most important thing, is to live out Matthew chapter 25, verse 40, where Jesus says, if you do this for the least of these, then you're doing it for me. So we want to reach out to the most needy people first, and then work our way up the chain to those who have economic opportunities and other things that they can offer. And in that training, we will offer an 8-part training program that will take, if, for example, a county executive or a district executive wants to do a new bridge or a new building or a new park in his community, whatever, we will say, we'll let you plan that project, but we also want you to go through the training that we have that relates to this. The training will focus on the 7 important parts of making the kingdom of God a reality in that community. First, from a biblical world, you stand to God who created heaven and earth. Then from the standpoint of building the economy, then from the standpoint of improving education for all to receive, then the needs of the family and what a kingdom of Jesus family looks like, what a kingdom of God government looks like, what a kingdom of God media looks like, and lastly, what a kingdom of God church looks like. The training will cover 497 topics. It'll take 124 hours. So we basically are going to take them for a month and put them through interactive training that acquaints them the why of what we're doing and why we believe Jesus wanted to reach out to them through this effort. Our next priority is to clean up environmental disasters and modernize the infrastructure where we need to build or improve roads or clean up the water in a river, lake, stream, or harbor area, or clean up the air in a community. We want to provide the resources to do that and employ people who will do that work. We want the best for the people of Nigeria in what they all share as communities, rivers, waters, clean air, clean harbors, and beautiful communities. And if we can meet those priorities, and we have money allocated for each one of them, the last priority we'll address is to do economic development projects that are going to produce jobs and employment. There are 13 economic sectors where this work will take place, and each province of Nigeria will have money allocated to it in each of these categories. But they must submit the projects to use that money. And if they don't meet our very difficult, stringent criteria for a project that is best practices on the world standards, sustainable, produces jobs, benefits the people, benefits the community, and will be there 50 years from now, we're going to say work on it some more until it meets those criteria, and when it does, we're ready to underwrite the funding. But we want projects in the agricultural area. We want projects that enrich the culture and history of each community. We want ones that do economic development. We want ones that do education, vocational training, and human capital development. We want ones that develop the energy infrastructure of the country in every community, as well as at the national level. We've actually allocated money at the national level for the national power grid upgrade and for power plant modernization. The next category is environmental cleanup. The next one you'll love, it is healthcare. We want to deliver the best healthcare that Nigeria have ever had. The best hospitals, the best community clinics, the best training for doctors to address the epidemic of cancer head on. We have a company that has a technology for dealing with cancer that if it is accurately diagnosed, that is the location of the cancer is accurately diagnosed, it is 100% effective and is done done on an outpatient basis. It takes less than 4 hours with a follow-up visit in a month to 6 weeks to make sure it's all gone. And we've looked at tragic reports of the incursion of cancer among the people of Nigeria, especially breast cancer for women, which are heart-rending. Literally, when Pastor Sunday and I talked earlier today, I was meeting with his good friend, Bishop Terry Millender, explaining the cancer treatment process and showing him photos of the tragedy of cancer that is untreated and undealt with. We want to transform the health situation, especially in the cancer area and across the board for every one of the 170, 200 Nigerians. The next area of support beyond that is developing the manufacturing sector, where there are existing plants that either can be reopened or modernized. We want to do that. Where there are new plants that are needed that'll produce jobs all throughout country, and we've allocated money for manufacturing to every single province, we want to build those plants. The next area is natural resources development. Where there are natural resources that need to be further developed, we want to invest in doing that with good enterprises, good jobs, and Nigerians controlling their resources, not anybody else. As you know, there is a big battle underway in Nigeria for who controls the oil. There are certain countries from Asia that want to do that. And they're offering loans to Nigeria in exchange for mineral rights. We don't agree with that approach. We offer grants to Nigeria in exchange for Nigerians retaining the mineral rights all through the country. The next area of development that we envision is the rural areas, farm communities, country roads, internet, all the things that are needed to make the rural areas as healthy economically as the cities are healthy. And the next area is the services sector. We want to train people in the best practices in any one of the service industries so that Nigeria is a model for Africa in what is being done in retail, wholesale trade, and all the many services that are there, and provide good wages for people who work in the services sector, and always that takes investment to get to that point. The next area of development is transportation. Every single province will have a budget for building up its transportation infrastructure, developing new roads, new bridges, and other things, in addition to money that's available at the national level for transportation. The last area is urban development. That is the cities, the parks, the government structures, the infrastructure, the things that make the urban areas as appealing as they possibly can on the best standards. County or district of Nigeria. We've done this in other areas in what was the former Soviet Union. Offer the opportunity to the local community to do the things that are needed. They are very responsive. And where communities are not responsive, if we tell them what's going on next door in another community and what the other leaders are doing for their people, they are more interested in helping their own people, because the publicity that's going to the next county over, the next district, is too much for them to bear when their people hear this. And the man seated in that big pink chair will be the best spokesperson for these kinds of progress and changes, so that we can let everyone know, best case, and encourage it in every one of the 757 districts. Now, there are 3 or 4 projects that are what I'll call national level projects that I'd like to describe to you briefly. And we have these already done in proposal form with our friends who are managing these things, but you should know about them. The first is a data system that all of this information from each of the districts will be put into. And it'll enable us to do what we call a needs assessment. So if somebody wants to come in and build an airport in a district and there's already an airport, we'll expand the current airport, not build a new one, and make it modern and new. But we need a system that will collect the data from all the teams and all the officials and all of the people who want to do projects, so that they can go through a systematic development process on the projects that they want to do. That will be run on the internet, each one of those, as well as trustees and project managers, so that we can develop the best projects possible in the fastest period of time. Now, once a project reaches the standard of being best practice, good design, effective use of money, job producing, and all the other criteria that are important, we will approve that project. It'll match the scoring criteria in the system and be then moved over to another data system that will be based out of the Caribbean and will be responsible for transferring the money to projects. This system is so sophisticated that it can even do the payroll for building a new airport in a province or district, down to the level of the person doing the work on the job. So every employee not only has to go through the training, but they must have a bank account into which money is transferred as they go through each pay period. It'll go directly into their accounts. The reason being, we are confronting corruption head on and eliminating corruption in the Republic of Nigeria, in Egypt. And the best way to do that is to pay people directly, pay suppliers directly, and work with local trustees who are honest in approving that the work that's been done is exactly what was promised and that the materials furnished are what was promised. Now, an important element of these projects is that the local people should be prepared to contribute a part of the cost of the project. It can be in the form of land, it can be in the form of materials, it can be in the form of security, and we must have security for projects, because if they allow terror groups to come in and stop a project, we will shut it down. Or if we get reports of corruption, it will be shut. So we must have local cooperation to match the resources that are being provided so that everyone has a stake in the success of that project. And when it's completed, we will have a celebration joining together the people who did the work and the people who are going to benefit from it, and celebrate the outcome of that work in a very visible way and televise it all through the country so that everyone knows what's been accomplished. Another of the national projects that you'll find interesting is what we call street and highway lighting. We are basically going to take all the street and highway lighting off the national power grid and come in with a system that will not only include the most advanced liquid electronic display lighting, but it will include wind power and solar power to power that lighting with batteries in each installation to support the lighting, so that the power grid is not carrying any more of the public lighting, and it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
All the roads in the country.
And in addition, there are 140,000 kilometers of roads in Nigeria. We are going to see every one of them lit up. And on that same installation, there will be internet, Wi-Fi connections, security where it's needed. If it's a sensitive area, there will be cameras that can detect locations of security problems. There will also be tracking devices for sounds. If you say you have an oil port where somebody's coming to try to come in and take it by force, this will even tell you where the gunshots are coming from and report it to a national command center so that it can be stopped before it starts. Now, if there's an emergency, like a big typhoon comes in or a tornado or something else, this same system will be an independent communication system to every community in Nigeria, so that the president can, in one announcement, tell everyone in the country what has happened, what's being done about it, and how steps are being taken to be able to mitigate any adverse effects of any event, whether it's man-caused or weather-caused or whatever it is. This doubles as a new communication system while it provides internet connection to every village, town, building, room, floor, and family.
Now, sorry, John, could you please start that part again? The national grid and the electricity, the lighting of the roads, all the highways, all this last piece, segment of the presentation, could you start again? Because we're having some challenges here a little bit. So start that afresh, please, with the national grid.
There are 140,000 kilometers of roads and highways in Nigeria. We want to provide new and independent lighting for every one of those roads and highways. We also want that lighting to be powered away from the national power grid, because the power grid is already overloaded with public lighting requirements that it can't carry without being expanded dramatically. We do want the power generating capacity to be expanded, but we want this lighting system to be independent of the national power grid and generating capacity, because we want that new capacity to be used for new industries, new jobs, new homes, and new manufacturing facilities where they're needed. And we want to use wind power and solar power to power each of the poles that are carrying this lighting. Each of those poles will have what we call a Christmas tree on top of it. It'll be a concrete pole 36 feet high, 12 meters, or higher in mountainous areas, and on top of it will be an aluminum cap that carries not only the batteries to store the power from the wind and the sun, but also the electronics to power the lighting, and a communication system that will be linked up through the entire country. So it'll provide internet connectivity to every single area of the country, Wi-Fi communications and emergency communications, and it will be independently powered so that if the generator plant goes out in that area, you'll still have lighting on the streets, you'll still have communications. And it can be tied back into a national command center that monitors weather, other events, so that people have advance warning of any adverse events that are about to unfold and what can be done about it. So it doubles as a national communication system as well as a lighting system. We have the option of adding signage for all the roads, lit signage and other things, but we wanted to do first the lighting to make Nigeria literally the light of Africa in two ways. Not only in the character of the people, but also the lighting on its streets, cities, and towns. Does that help?
Yes, but you left out the section about the security. If there is robbery, and can you talk more a little about the security?
In important areas that must be secure or are in danger of attack by outside people, whatever the cause is, we will have hidden security cameras that are not known to anybody but the authorities, and we will have noise tracking devices so that any steps that are taken by terrorists or thieves or criminals, whatever, we will have it on video, and if they use weapons, we'll know what weapon was fired and where it was fired from, because we'll have these tracking devices that will be able to isolate location and noise in that way.
Wow. And that is going to be, this security is going to be mounted together with the lightning system and the communication system on all roads and highways.
Correct.
Okay.
The next area that we want to do work in is to demonstrate ways of cleaning up groundwater, especially where the oil companies have come in and destroyed the groundwater, the underground water, the rivers or the streams. And we have a technology that we would like to bring over, and if it works to the satisfaction of the environmental authorities in Nigeria, we can expand its use. But we wanted to do a demonstration project in the worst groundwater conditions in Nigeria, and if it restores the biological balance and the drinkability of that water, and you agree, then we'd make that technology available for use throughout the country. And the last project that we've submitted a proposal on that we think you will like is this cancer treatment project. The basic plan is to come in and train whatever doctors are interested in being involved in cancer treatment on the use of this system, to provide support for them in the form of the machine that runs it, and then to inventory the supplies that can be used to do cancer treatment throughout Nigeria, starting with breast cancer and then moving into other areas as we overcome the breast cancer epidemic that's already underway. I just gave our mutual friend, Bishop Millender, a report on the incidence of breast cancer in Nigeria, and it's tragic what has happened because people cannot get good treatment on a timely basis or good diagnosis. So we have a company in California that has developed a very reliable treatment system that we would like to enable to bring into Nigeria and use Nigeria as the springboard for cancer treatment throughout Africa once it's demonstrated there and accepted. Now, these are hard things to implement in areas where doctors want to earn a lot of money, or they want to put you on chemotherapy that costs many thousands of US dollars and other things. So we are basically working around them to provide a low-cost, highly effective treatment system that uses what's called cryoablation. That is, a needle probe goes to the area of the cancer. It's detected by a sonogram, and the needle probe is positioned right in the middle of that cancer tumor, and then it freezes that tumor for a stipulated period of time and then gradually unfreezes it so that all the cancer cells are killed and absorbed into the bloodstream, and then the needle is withdrawn. So it's a 4-hour treatment. It requires a Band-Aid on the area where the needle was inserted, and the patient leaves on the same day they came to the doctor's office, and they don't have to take anything except a painkiller for a half a day, and then they come back and get it checked after a month. It is so good that we want the people of Nigeria to benefit from it as a part of this. So that gives you a sort of an overview, and the man seated in that beautiful chair at the head of the room has ideas that go far beyond ours, but we want to know that where we can help him and help you to succeed, we are interested in seeing that occur and then celebrating the results together.
Any questions from the hall, from the auditorium? Anybody wants to ask? Yes, please.
This is Ladi Shoroke. I'm more interested in what's going on in the healthcare field. I'm more interested in knowing what's going on in the healthcare field. Are we talking about improving the primary health care and leaving the secondary and the tertiary to the federal government and the state government?
We are talking about local leaders taking a leadership role in improving primary health care. In some areas of the world, we think that is through local clinics that treat inhabitants of the village on an individual basis and serve as the channel for the provincial or regional hospital system. But in most areas, our concern is there is not good primary care available outside the major cities. And so we would like to make primary care the top priority, including even building clinics, for example, where they are needed in small villages and towns where people have a place to go to get help from a physician's assistant, a small pharmacy, and a treatment area. Plus, we would add to that clinic a little meeting room so that the community has a place that they can gather and meet socially or otherwise when the healthcare clinic is not in operation. So it serves two purposes. And we've seen examples in Ukraine, for example, of the old communist buildings that can be converted to clinics and again be welcomed as places where people want to go and meet and get healthcare treatment and get medicine when they need it. We want to follow the same model in Nigeria of local clinics that treat people on a primary care basis, move toward preventive care and good primary care to lower the incidence of serious illness and other problems once you go up. Now, there is also money, and this is the healthcare area. We've allocated $80 million to projects down to each of the 35 provinces. So each province would have anywhere from $1 to $8 million to put into clinics, training, whatever they want to do to improve the health of their people, and to then monitor that health so that we see the improvements occurring over time.
Just wanted to know if there's any inclusion for air ambulance. Air ambulance.
Air ambulance can be done. It would be more of either a provincial or national level project. It would be funded out of the contingency money if that was a high priority. But we'd let local leaders make that decision.
Okay. Any other question? Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Having had all this, it sounds so beautiful. And is it possible to know when is this thing taken up and how long do you think it's going to take? 5 years, 10 years?
The entire thing will take probably 5 and 10. The deal that we will make is this will all be funded out of a trust fund. And the trust fund will retain a piece of ownership of the projects because they want to follow that project for the next 50 years throughout its entire life. So we're not looking at going in and making a big splash in a week. We're looking at a 50-year friendship and relationship to benefit the people of Nigeria in every single case.
Any other question? Another person has another question? Yes, please.
I'd like to know if the cancer treatment has been used in any other country.
You mean this process we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes. We are about to start it in Ecuador. We are going to do it in Dominican Republic. And so there's some Western Hemisphere countries. We actually have 9 pilot areas of the world that we are going to do it. Canada, United States.
She's talking about the cancer treatment. The cancer treatment. The one you spoke
it's
about.
It's already being done in certain areas of the United States. And we want to use Nigeria as the springboard to India and other countries around the world for that cancer treatment. We want you to be the leaders in the international sector.
Yeah!
Thank you so much. This appears to me to be a parallel government in terms of the scale of the operations that you are going to do. My interest is how are you going to coordinate with the federal government to be able to run these projects? I'm making an assumption that some of the interventions that you plan to do, probably the federal government might also have planned to do them. So how are you going?
They could well. Yes, that's a very good point. We will have a staff that I'm hoping you are part of that staff in Nigeria.
He's naturalized.
There you go.
We have them here. We have them here.
I know, and I know of no better people to coordinate with the federal government. And the man at the back of the front of the room walking back and forth has great relationships at the national level, as do other people in that room, I'm sure, and it all must be coordinated. The difference is we are working from the bottom up, not from the top down. Every world development project that's been done to date has gone in and said, we'll give you a loan to do a project in an area. And what happens is the loan is put in somebody's pockets, the project is never done, and the people never benefit from it. So that's why we're working at the district level back up for all of our project development with money set aside for national projects in power generation, economic zones, and other things of national interest while we work locally from the bottom up.
I appreciate the concept of bottom up because it enhances participatory community participation. How different is your approach going to be from the one of the development agencies? Because I'm aware that there have been a lot of interventions, say, from the World Bank and others that also attempt to use a participatory approach like you are going to use.
Well, we are talking with the World Bank. They are interested in what we're recommending, and we do have meetings planned with them. In fact, some of the money may be money that is available through the World Bank and through other sources that have been developed. But we're emphasizing local development more than we are emphasizing large-scale things that are only done by a few people. And that's how we're evaluating projects, and that's how we're scoring them, because we want to see local trustees, engineers, and citizens leading this effort, not a few bureaucrats either in London or Frankfurt or Lagos. We want the people in the cities of the Delta, the Cross River, the Borno, the Benue, the Bayelsa, and others to be the ones providing the leadership, because we think the best results will come that way.
Excellent. I'm really glad to hear about the participation of the communities and the people themselves there, because I was afraid of elite capture, the people who are there capturing the opportunity and denying the real local people from benefiting. But also,
which you are exactly right, and that's why probably 40% of the world's people are living in conditions that you and I do not regard as adequate, because the elites have captured the money and the control, and the people have not gotten the benefit.
Maybe to seek your indulgence finally, I'm still more interested in the system of dealing with corruption because that's really our nightmare. Yes, I heard you talk about setting up a banking system where it's easier to pay the workers via the bank. But apart from that, are there any other mechanisms in place to deal with this problem of corruption?
Yes. We are going to have third-party experts evaluate projects, assure that the budgets are realistic, assure that there are no elements or areas of the budgets that could be subject to corruption, assure that the suppliers are reliable, and watch the work. If it's a big project, we'll have full-time people watching the work and approving the progress against the budget and schedule of what needs to be done, so that we're only paying the people who are doing the work. And if corruption gets in the way of it, we will shut the project down with the concurrence of the leadership team in that area, because we are not going to tolerate corruption in any form or at any level.
Mine is no question. Mine is just to appreciate you and say thank you. Okay. Mine is not, that thing is, okay. Mine is not a question. It's just to appreciate Pastor Sunday that thank you so much. I believe that these are the cry of the Nigerian people for God to send a deliverer, for God to send somebody who will come and help us to change Nigeria. So I just want us to appreciate him and say thank you so much, sir.
We think it's what God wants all of us to do, and obviously you agree.
Yes. Hello, sir. My name is Lola Shironki, and I want you to correct my thinking about what I thought I heard you say. When you were talking about paying out, you also talked about some money that was that people could pay in form of money, a little fee, or they could sell land. Could you clarify that, especially the land part?
Well, if we are going to say build a new school in a district, we're going to look to the district to provide the land for that school. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. What if the what if an individual has lands all over the place?
Well, an individual land available for a contribution to the project. Usually projects are designed to work for the community, not for individuals.
Yeah.
And for example, if a person owned land that we wanted to put a new road or a new school in, they would be paid for their land to be purchased to enable that project to go and not be treated unfairly in that process.
All right then. Thank you.
Is that the issue that you're concerned about?
Yeah. Also, I wanted to know if you talked about if the individuals contributed the land. How does that work?
Not individuals,
communities. Communities. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
Lands are going to be bought from individuals, but he's talking about community participation, participatory of the community that is going to own the school, own the hospitals, all that, so that they will be interested in seeing it as their own, rather than seeing it as somebody's own, so that they would now be interested in protecting it from the hooligans and the bandits and the,
Exactly. Now, there's one result of all this that I should point out. The gentleman with the microphone has this beautiful head of black hair. And as you notice, my head is all white hair. So when this project is done, he will have white hair as well.
Good day. My name is Obioji Madu. Online, a lot of people are ecstatic about what is going on, and they're having lots of questions. But to get them calm, let me throw up this question. What kind of system of checks and balances do you have to make sure that this project is not ruined by the same people who are going to lead and to implement the same program? Please, I would like you to really be specific and underline it, let people be calm and not take this as another white elephant project. Thank you.
Yes, good question. When a project is put together, we have a 10-part project formulation system. And it includes not only if it's, say, a new school or a facility that's got to be built, it includes the estimates and the designs and everything that must be done and the standard to which it must be built. Those standards will be reviewed by experts either within Nigeria or outside of Nigeria to make sure that it's the best design, the best budget, the best materials list that you can have, and that it is followed rigorously as the project is developed against a schedule and against a vast reference library of what we call best practices. So if you're opening a new store that sells shoes, you'll even be able to find out how to set up your inventory, how to train your customers, how to train your employees, how to treat your customers, and every aspect of that operation being done in the right way. And the big system that enables this to be done is that project leaders will have access to this so that they can reference those best practices and apply them in the local community. And then we will monitor through this big payment system how the project is doing over time. Because as I mentioned, we're looking for a 50-year partnership, not a one-time effort that doesn't result in good and benefit to everyone.
I think what Obi wants to also know, I think you have mentioned that a little bit. You need to point that out again, that we are having a separate budget and we are creating a team, a budget to create teams in every of the states and every of the local governments, that we are going to train people on specific kingdom principles and training materials, the number that you mentioned, the number, and that people are going to be trained on ground. And these people are going to be participating in monitoring and overseeing the work that's going to be going on ground.
Yes, indeed. That's a good summary.
Yes. Can you also, please, the first project, I want you to just have a quick run over all the major projects again. Just the quick run. The first thing you mentioned is the fact that we are presenting Christ. The second one you mentioned is the emergency needs of the community and of the provinces and of the people. Just go through the whole thing again, please.
Okay. First is sharing the gospel. The second is addressing the crisis needs, i.e. lack of water, food, shelter, clothing, or a place for people to be in an emergency. The third is what we call chronic deficits, problems arising out of displaced people groups, civil conflict, terror, corruption, addiction, and others.
Okay.
And we actually have a
yes, go ahead.
program for the addiction problem as well.
Now, would this cover
the environment and modernizing infrastructure?
Before you talk about the environment, would this also cover the most acute need in Nigeria now, which is feeding? And feeding is not just for displaced people. There are just a large percentage of the country that is acutely poor, and is there going to be any food provision or feeding program that we could just, like a relief system for the poor people to start with before we could set them up in business and in microfinancing?
Yes, indeed. And there is money set aside for those contingencies in every single province. I can give you the number of U.S. dollar equivalents by province if you want them, but I don't think you want to take that time tonight.
Do you have it just in front of you right now?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
The total contingency money is 690 million U.S. dollar equivalents in Naira. And for example, the Aba province has $1.4 million to use for contingencies for any place that they need to feed people or meet crisis needs or do things that will forestall problems in their population. Every single province has an allocation like that.
Okay.
And it totals $690 million.
Excellent. Go ahead, please.
And then to pick up the priorities, the environmental cleanup and modernizing infrastructure is number 4, and number 5 is the 13 economic development sectors, whether they be agricultural cooperatives, new power plants in provinces, or whatever. There's money allocated in each of those 13 sectors to every single province to do the projects they regard as most important in cooperation with their district leaders.
Can you mention the 13 sections again, please?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Yeah, please go through the list of the 13 sections.
Oh, okay. Here are the categories where money has been allocated to each province. National training, that is to give the training to the people involved in the projects. The second is national staff. This is what pays the distinguished people in the room as well as every single district. The third is staff at the provincial level. The fourth is support at the provincial level if engineers are needed or doctors are needed or whatever to staff healthcare programs. That support would be available through that budget. The next area is the national power system, that is generating plants and the national grid. The next area is economic zones where more than one province is involved on a cooperative basis. We can provide money for that. Then we go to agriculture, culture and history, economic development, education and human capital, energy development, healthcare, manufacturing, natural resources, rural development, services, transportation, urban development, and then contingency money, down to the level of every single province on each item, based on population.
Excellent. Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes.
It's the first time I've ever known Pastor Sunday to be speechless. This is one of the richest men of the Lord's word I know, and I've never heard that much silence from him at any time we've known each other for 20 years.
Yes, I'm at awe at what God is about to do in Nigeria, and I'm happy that it's not just my words anymore. People don't just have to take my words for it, but they should also see that there are other people who are working day and night on this, and that things are moving, even though we are not discussing what the government is doing. This is not political. This is not having anything to do with the government right now, but this is just what our team is putting together by the grace of God. So, well, thank you so very much, John. And, you did a great job, and we are looking forward to when God will open the door for us to move into Nigeria.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you as well. Please don't blame me for Pastor Sunday keeping you up so late tonight, though. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you. God bless. Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Okay, let's put the light off. And let me tell you about my plan for Nigeria, for the transformation of Nigeria and Africa. All right. You have the microphone there? Okay. Okay, we see now that here you have... Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Vision.
No, don't worry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. All these are my strategies, and they are too complex for you. The system, this one not be the system, is a little bit more complex than the one I taught you this morning. So I don't want to confuse you, so go ahead. Go ahead. It's also too complex for you. Go ahead. Okay, this one is easier. This one is easier. These are blocks of spheres of influence that we must penetrate when we go to Nigeria. Okay, go ahead. All right. So this is just a preliminary draft. Summary. This is just a summary of the plan. Go ahead. Okay, now we are starting here. There are actually 775, I think. Oh, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's say we have this amount of local governments in Nigeria, right? 774 local governments. Now, for those who are not from Nigeria, we have central government or federal government. Then we have state government. Then every state government have what we call local government or districts. Are you understanding that? That is the lowest form of government, the closest to the ordinary people in the village. So each local government will have like a town or two towns if they are lucky. Towns, normally one big town, and all others are smaller villages, some small, some big, a little bit, but one or two towns. Normally not more than one or two towns. Others are just villages. So it's quite local, but close to the people as well. So my dream and my idea is this, to start projects in every one of those local governments. So let's say we have 36 states in Nigeria, and that's how many we have. 36 states, but every state have nothing less than 15, maybe 10 local governments. Some states have 10, 15, 13, 18, 20, 23, 25, different. So if we have, what state are you coming from? Lagos. Lagos State. Let's say you come from Lagos State and we have, wow. Look who came to see us. Layo and Charles. Hey, Mr. Charles Emmanuel. You dey enjoy you. When will you lend me some of that, your pot? Eh? You didn't have it the last time you were here. Oh. Something has happened. God, they take care of you now. Yeah, thank God, thank God. You come and lay hands on me when you are through. Bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. You didn't even want me, you are coming.
You're busy, Pastor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Nice to see you. You know, Deo, maybe it was just photo trick you are using on me. I didn't say any pot here now. Did you, because from when you are far away, you use some photo trick like that, or what is it, film trick you say? I can't see any pot anymore. My own is even bigger than your own. Maybe I'm the one to be laying hands on you now. Take care. Welcome. Thank you for the pleasant surprise. Okay, where did I stop? Okay, let's say you come from Lagos State. That's one state. But let's say you have 30 local governments. So if I'm going to start projects in all 30 local governments, it means I'm going to have, so Lagos State is going to have at least 30 projects in the name of Sunday Adelaja Foundation. That's what we want to use, Sunday Adelaja Foundation. 30 projects minimum in that state. So every local government will feel our presence in Nigeria. So what are the projects? How do we know the projects? We are going to find out from every local government what are the most pertinent needs. What are the most pressing needs they need in those. Let's say they need water supply in this local government. But that local government, their most pressing need is a primary school. Let's say that other local government is the road they need to be repaired. Maybe that other local government is agricultural project they need. So whatever it is, we are going to do research of every local government and determine what are their needs. Now, listen now closely. We are not, so you have 30 local governments in Lagos State. Now, we are not just going to touch every local government. We are going to say, okay, you are the head of your own local government, and you know there are 30 of them. But he's just the head of one local government. Then we are going to ask him, give us list of all problems you have in your local government. Women are staying home, they don't have job, but they need to start petty businesses. So they need microfinancing. Write it down. Children don't have uniform to go to school, or they cannot afford to pay for school fees. Write it down. Maybe, what are the other things? Crime. You need security. Write it down. Maybe you need cooperatives. Write it down. So he writes down all the needs of his society. And our goal is this, to start from 1 to 100 projects just for that local government. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40, not 50. As much as 100. If they don't have as much, good. But if we are ready to commit 100 projects to a local government. That's Lagos State, but they have 30 local governments. That's the problem. So if we do 100 projects in this local government, what happens to the other local governments? Well, the same thing. We will be ready to commit up to 100 projects also in every one of the 30. So if we now say we do, not in 1 year, we could start with 1, then in the next 10 years, we have up to 100 projects. So it's going to be spread out, right? So if you are starting 100 projects in this local government, and there are 30 of those local governments, how many projects would those be in just one Lagos State? That would be 3,000 local Sunday Adelaja projects meeting 3,000 different needs just in Lagos State alone. By the time we are through, every family would have had a taste of us, or will be having constant touch with us. That is what we call transformation, national holistic transformation. That is going to be more intense than what the old government of Nigeria has done since independence. And now, think about it. We have such local governments. We have 774 of them. Multiply that by 100. That is 77, almost 80,000 projects at the same time all over the country. That's what is worth it for me. It's a kind of challenge that is worth it. And that's why I'm going back to Africa. And that's why I need all the help I could. And that's why we're going to raise up men. And it's not going to be a problem for me. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. And I know it's not a problem. I know how to do it. Some people might think that that's mind-blowing. Now you understand why those people think I'm delusional. Okay, it looks so. It looks so. So let's continue going. Yes. Now, see at the analysis we've done. Talk about systems, right? So I need to go to Nigeria. I need to do a system for Nigeria. So who understands what you see? Can anybody come and give a description of what you are seeing right now? It's too confusing for you, right? Give the microphone.
In Abia State, the population is
You have to stand this way so that they will, yeah.
In Abia State, the population is 3.2 million.
Show them where the population is. Okay.
There are 17.
So tell them the first table, the first column. Yeah.
These are the population. These are the names of the states.
Yes.
These are the population of each state, all the way to Jigawa. These are the number of local governments in every state.
Yes.
If we do 100 projects for every local government, 17 times 100, There'll be 1,700 projects going on.
No. You just missed something right there. No. Let him say it again. Repeat that and say it again.
There are 17 local governments in Abia State.
Good.
So each local government is going to get 100
Why are you
projects.
pointing your fingers down?
Down?
Yeah, why are you taking your finger down? You don't need to take your fingers down.
Oh, okay.
Because if you take it down, then you go to Adamawa State and other states.
All right. So there are 17 local governments in Abia. Each local government is going to get 100 projects. 17 times 100.
Then go to the next column.
That's how you get this figure.
What figure?
1,700.
Where? No, you are not on 1,700. You are on, okay. He's showing 7. Oh, the day is a bit late. Okay. Yeah, that's how it. Okay. That's 1,700 right there, yes.
So we're going to start the project in 2017. The figures you see here, multiply it in thousands.
Yes.
That's the amount of the project. In 2018, the same amount is going to go.
So we have calculated, including the money that's going to be involved for every local government and for other number of projects. Then can you go through the states?
In Adamawa,
how many projects?
There will be 21 local governments. There will be 2,100 projects.
Okay, keep on going. No, just stop on the projects, but to go through the states.
In Akwa Ibom, there's 4.6 million people, 32 local governments, multiplied by 100, 3,200 projects. In Anambra, population 4.8, 21 local governments, 2,100 projects. In Bauchi,
some people, there is something we call the Biafra movement in Nigeria. Because of them, I had to expose my plan. I wrote an article. I don't remember what I call it. I think maybe a word for my Biafra brethren or so. I was telling them, I beg you, in the name of Jesus, please don't leave Nigeria before I come. Give me, not Nigeria, give me chance, 5 years. I have such a plan for Nigeria and for Biafra states, every state in Biafra, that if Nigeria doesn't change, including Biafra people, then you are free to go. But if you go before I come, you will be begging to come back because of what is going to be happening in Nigeria. I wrote an article about that because, it's going to be so holistic that the country will change. I don't even need to prophesy. It's just going to be so obviously change. The progress and the development is going to be so rapid. And just for you to know, I have a think tank in Washington, D.C. right now that are working. This is just the preliminary thing. It's going to be like 1,000 pages of documents. And I have another think tank in Lagos, Nigeria, that are working 24 hours just to study every local government, all their plans, all their problems, and everything. And I don't want Biafra to go. I don't want the eastern part of Nigeria to go personally. Because personally I believe in, but the Igbo people, they are not Biafra. The Biafra people, they don't represent all Igbo people. But I'm talking of not the Biafra people, I'm talking about the Igbo people, the eastern people. I believe in them so much. Personally, I believe that I want to invest in two groups of people I'm very passionate about in Nigeria. I believe in my Ijebu people. Yes, I believe in the Ijebu people. Yes. And maybe because I'm from there, but maybe I'm biased a little bit, but I noticed something in the Ijebu people. They are kind of different. From my own analysis. For example, that is Ogun State area, right? Now, that state, Ogun State, now, Yoruba has how many? 6 states? Maybe 6 states. And we have 40 million people. In 40-something million people, Yorubas, who are Yorubas. But Ogun State is the smallest of all the Yoruba people. But that smallest state, that state has produced all the Yoruba presidents we ever had in Nigeria. They come from that one state alone. Yes. You never thought about it. There is all the Yoruba president that ever come from Nigeria. They came from that little smallest state. Shonekon or whatever they call him. And then Shonekon, is he not from there? Abiola that they never allowed to rule. Is he not from there? Is he from there? Obasanjo, is he not from there? Obasanjo second time, well, is he not from there? He's from there. Awolowo, is he not from there? Anybody that is who and who in the Yoruba land, they are from there. Now, Tai Solarin, is he not from there? He's from there. Wale Soyinka, is he not from there? So who remains? Sunday Adelaja, is he not from there? So there is something that what the richest black man, the richest black Nigerian, apart from Dangote, is from Ogun State. Adenuga is from there. Oba Otedola, is he not from there? From there. Or Shubomi, what's the college? Shubomi Balogun, the owner of what bank? SCMB Bank. Is he not from there? He's from anybody that is who and who in Yoruba land. So something must be happening. So I want to go, Yes. It's not just the water. It is the substance. It is everything. The water, the land, and I can prove that to you scripturally and preach it to you. The effect of land where you grow up and, where you walked and the food substance you eat on what you become in life. They are in Ogun State. All the mega churches in Nigeria, Redeem, Deeper Life, all of them, Fire, Mountain of Fire, all winners, all of them are in Ogun State. All of them. So, and it has the largest number of universities in Nigeria. All the universities are from 20 universities are there. So, so, but if you never challenge yourself and you never ask that question, you will never know. Because the reason why I started thinking about that was because they claimed that they found, an English archaeologist claimed that he found a wall over there that they believe was, they associated it with Queen of Sheba or something. They said it is comparable to the walls of China, and it is, it is as old as the blocks in England. What do you call those? Stoneheads, yes. And that the black people did this. So it's one of the United Nations archaeological protected areas. And this in Egypt. So they are saying, who are the people who live in this area? That there's something special about that. Because they built that thing before they aged something in England. They were saying, and it's as big as the pyramids. And they are worshiping the pyramid people, they say, and this is in the bush in Nigeria. So it's in Ijebu land. So they are saying some people have lived here, some people, and I began to examine myself. Because I never, like I said, I never went to a school like that. If you see the picture of my high school, we don't have walls, no walls, nothing. And like I said, I never saw a library, I never saw a laboratory, I never, and then I, just put one or two things together. And all these Yoruba and Ijebu people, I mean, like I said, Yoruba people are many. They're like 50 million people, right? But why are all these people concentrated coming from this little space? Little space. So I personally believe that Pastor Sunday Adelaja, myself, I would have been left. If I didn't win a scholarship, nobody would have discovered that something like this was hidden from the villages over there. And I know for sure that there are many Sunday Adelajas in that land. But they are still buried there. Just I would have been buried there without notice. So I want to go there, and I want to invest on giving opportunities to all of them, so that we will be able to discover more Sunday Adelajas for the world. Are you from there? Yeah! Ijebu? Yes, so now, keep on going. Then the same conviction that I have about the Jebus and the Ogun State people is the same conviction I have about the Igbo people. There is something about those people. Yes, I believe in them like crazy. I want to invest as much. So those are the two. Now, there are other places in Nigeria that all of them are great. They are unique. They are talented. Everybody is great. But those two people, the eastern part of Nigeria and the Ijebu people, I have special interest in them. And I want to give my best to all of them. Especially Anambra in Igbo, Anambra State, and Ijebu people, Ogun State. And Ibadan, Abeokuta Ijebu, Egba Ijebu, that Ogun State, and Anambra State. I am really interested in those two. You are from Anambra State? Yes, you see, one of them is here. Amara is here. Anambra girl. Igbo girl, Anambra girl. You too, you are Imo. You are Imo. Abia State. Okay. You used to be Imo when we met. So that's why I wrote that passionate letter to I don't want the Biafra people to spoil that agenda. I don't want them to stand on the way, because I know what God would do through Nigerians and through, not just those Nigerians, but I'm going to be doing everything, the same thing for all local government, all states. But I'm just revealing my heart cry to you now about those group. I'm biased about those two group of people. Yeah. Go ahead.
We stop at Bauchi, 5.5 million, 20 local governments, 2,000 projects. Bayelsa, 1.9 million, 8 local governments, 800 projects. Benue, 4.9 million population, 23 local government, 2,300 projects. Borno, 4.9 million, 26 local government, 2,600 projects. Cross River State, 3.3 million, 18 local government, 1,800 projects. Cross River, Delta, 4.8 million, 24 local governments, 2,400 projects. Delta, Ebonyi, 2.5 million, 13 local government, 1,300 projects. $1,800. Ekiti, 2.8 million, 16 local government, 1,600 projects. Enugu, 3.7 million people, 17 local government, 1,700 projects. Federal Capital Territory, 2.2 million, 6 local government, 600 projects. Imo State, 4.6 million people, 27 local government, 2,700 projects. Jigawa, 5 million, 27 local government, 2,700 projects. Next, please. Kaduna, 7.1 million people, 23 local governments, 2,300 projects. Kano, 11 million people, 44 local government, 4,400 projects. Katsina, 6.7 million people, 34 local government, 3,400 projects. Kebbi, 3.8 million people, 21 local government, 2,100 projects. Kogi, 3.8 million people, 21 local government, 2,100 projects. Kwara, 2.7 million people, 17 local government, 1,700 projects. Lagos, 10.9 million people, 20 local government, 2,000 projects. Nasarawa, 2.1 million people, 13 local government, 1,300 projects. Niger, 4.6 million people, 25 local government, 2,500 projects. Ogun State, 4.4 million people, 20 local government, 2,000 projects. Osun State, 4 million people, 30 local government, 3,000 projects. Oyo State, 6.6 million people, 33 local government, 3,300 projects. Plateau, 3.6 million people, 17 local government, 1,700 projects. River State,
Maybe you left it out. Don't worry, we'll fix it, we'll fix it. Keep on going.
Plateau State, 3.6 million people, 17 local governments, 1,700 projects. River State, 6.1 million people, 23 local governments, 2,300 projects. Sokoto, 4.3 million people, 23 local governments, 2,300 projects. Taraba, 2.6 million people, 17 local government, 1,700 projects. Yobe, 2.7 million people, 17 local government, 1,700 projects. Zamfara, 3.8 million people, 14 local government, 1,400 projects. Subtotal, you can see it in dollars there. There's going to be a Nigeria project office. They have a budget too. Ukraine liaison office, that's their budget. U.S. project office, they also have a budget. The total amount that's expected to be spent in 2017.
Don't worry, you don't need to mention.
All right. The population of Nigeria is 160 million. I think it's more now.
Yep. So keep on going. Next page, please. Yeah, give to him. Yes.
Number one, village healthcare clinics. They're vital projects for Nigeria. So number one is village healthcare clinics.
So I'm just using this as an example of projects, right? Like 100 projects. So things like this, just you see an example of it. Yeah, go. And what wait, go back. What are these things? These are videos of what they are going to look like. What we have done is that we've done research of any project that we mention here. We have videos of how they're going to look like. These are the things you are seeing here on different continents.
Number two project, primary school modernization. 3, secondary school modernization. 4, agriculture cooperatives. 5, energy modernization. Environmental cleanup, number 6. Infrastructure modernization, number 7. Natural resource development, number 8. Entrepreneurship, development, and small-scale business, number 9. Rural development, number 10. Transportation, number 11. 12 is services. 13, urban development. 14, skills acquisition centers. 15, affordable homes. 16, security. 17, church reformation. 18, women empowerment through cooperatives, that is widows, petty traders, single parents, and unskilled teenage girls. Reorientation and training for the public and private sectors, number 19. 20, establishing microcredit and microfinance banks. 21, training for present and future political leaders. 22, feeding centers for the extremely poor. 23, rehabilitation centers for the homeless and mentally derailed people. 24, technical colleges. 25, the need for a worldwide network of TV stations and other media outlets for value reorientation of the masses. A law firm to litigate against all forms of injustice and unrighteousness in the society, number 26. 27, have an investigation company with detectives for proper fact-finding research on all matters. 28, start public debates and public hearing avenues to create a hearing for the general public. 29, history makers training in secondary schools and universities, intensive boot camp type of training. 31, libraries and book clubs. 32, symposiums, colloquiums, seminars, and roundtables on national issues. 33, work out a legal agreement with partners and co-workers to avoid betrayals and stealing of projects. 34, set up a think tank and executive teams to work on the realization of all ideas and projects and to develop new ones. 34, set up a publishing and distribution arm of the ministry for Pastor Sunday's books.
Now that create questions and answers, Katerina Saite. Joshua sposób. Żeby pokazać вопросы и ответы. После этого.
Transform the books into video games, board games, films, talk show, and TV programs. 36, start a running TV program based on each group. Program where viewers are challenged to write their projects, ideas, business. Okay, so program where viewers are challenged to write their projects, ideas, business plans.
Maybe it's enough. Or I should continue. Okay, continue, they said.
Program where viewers are challenged to write their projects, ideas, business plans on the topic of each book, then submit them for screening, competitions, and financing. The goal is to find people through whom we will turn every book into an institution project, vision, which will later grow into self-sustaining organisms. 37, start a mass educational project on the laws of money based on my book, Money Won't Make You Rich. This will include monthly crusades on the topic, HMT type of training on the weekends and midweek. 38, start mass empowering crusades in stadiums.
Are you saying system? Uche, are you the blame that we go blame for this, or are you saying we should do it today?
Says there will be trainings, teaching, counseling, skill acquisitions, prayers, etc. They could be called National Transformation Crusades and conferences. 39, mentorship programs for aspiring millionaires and champions of industries. 40, partnering program with successful businesses and other national institutions where we could all be part owners. That is, owning shares so as to ride on their influences to affect the nation. 41, scholarship and financial grants to high school graduates. 42, scholarship and financial grants to pastors and other full-time ministers. 42, the University of Life project via the internet, social media. Okay, a proposed training program that could include the following: an evaluation of the problems of the nation. Where did the wrong value system come from? 2, what are the value systems Nigeria needs for a rapid development? 3,
Louder, please.
how to get rid of bad value systems and establish new ones. 4, we need a content formation program for a new Nigerian. 5, a comprehensive training that will help people discover their abilities, gifts, and callings. Number 6, train people to take responsibility for social transformation rather than leave it to the government. 7, help people discover the purpose for Nigeria. 8, enlighten the elites.
Sunday Adelaja for president.
8, enlighten the elite or the elite.
You want to put me in trouble? I don't want president. Oh. I'm not interested. I am God's president.
Number 8, enlighten the elite on their role and responsibility before the nation. Number 9, the church needs to be trained to stop abdicating their duties and roles to the unbelievers. Number 10, bringing the awareness on personal responsibility to the Nigerian public. 11, practical training on how to resolve each of Nigeria's...
Just to answer this person that is saying I should run for presidency or someone like for president, I want to say that to become a president is a demotion. Is it? Demotion. It's a demotion. It is actually not just a demotion, but it's going to be counterproductive. It's going to be counterproductive. So, you know, to be a president will be a demotion. I will be coming down from my height. That's what I say. So I'm not interested in running for president.
Okay, number 11, practical training on how to resolve each of Nigeria's myriad of problems. 12, the need to train the populace and government agencies in standards, quality, diligence, and excellence. 13, spheres of influence and how to penetrate them. 14, building systems for change, producing of leaders. 15, train people on how to use NGOs, pressure groups, and other projects to affect the society. 16, train people on how to create...
So you see that I know exactly what I want to do, what I'm talking about, so I'm not just delusional like people say. Maybe it looks delusional. No. I'm planning. This is just preliminary. This is not even the plan yet. This is not the project. This is just to give you an idea of what we are talking about.
16, train people on how to create models and prototypes for transformation. 17, training people on how to build momentum for accelerated achievements. 18, developing programs of the school system that will emphasize values and virtue development. 19, how to bring about transformation through media and film industry. 20, developing and training future and present political aspirants for value and quality development in the country.
Okay. Let's put on the light. Okay, we need, we need more, sorry. Please. Let's go to the practical questions people have. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Reid?
Yes, please.
Question 1. What is the cost involved for the people traveling with me to Nigeria to participate in the Nigerian Transformation Project? And the answer is, first of all, it will be helpful